Wait, what do I say again? I just blacked out. Welcome back to Clocked Out Podcast. We're your hosts, Stick, Avery, and Mole. Welcome back, guys, to episode 7, the Clocked Out Podcast. We have our beloved Avery back. I know you guys were wondering, but she did survive the stomach flu.
Darn.
Yeah,
She's with
barely
us.
survived. They don't tell you what that's like with a toddler, you know? Like when
Or
you still have to be an
with-
adult.
With child. Like you're with child
Oh.
and a toddler.
True, I
feel
am
like
also pregnant.
I feel like that is almost worse. I'd rather have a toddler and have it than be pregnant and have it.
Yeah, I mean, really shitty circumstances.
Literally.
We did it. We made it, and I'm back.
You survived.
Mm-hmm.
You drank all your fluids.
Absolutely.
I knew you could do it.
Yes, indeed. So what's the topic for this episode, Mole?
So the topic for this week is just around fertility, and in this episode we're just going to kind of share, I know Avery's going to share some of her journey and some challenges and some struggles that she had with her first pregnancy as well as her second, and then Stick's going to share a little bit and I'll share briefly.
Let's
So,
roll.
Let's
You wanna
kick
get
it
into
off.
Dave? How was Collins conceived?
You guys want the details?
Avery, how are babies made?
Yeah, let's start there. We'll start with the basics, please.
Oh boy,
Well, the birds and the
bees.
bees.
Yeah, well, you
Hey,
guys
we
do
got
look
some
like you
young
need some
listeners.
education. What now?
We have some young listeners.
Oh, gross.
We
True.
do.
No, so CJ and I got married in 2020. Well, it's our anniversary tomorrow, so you're welcome.
Happy early Annie.
Thank you. We got married in 2020 and we decided we were going to wait a year to try to conceive. We ended up changing our minds and starting around April 2021. And we were like, all right, we're ready to get pregnant. We're ready to start a family. This is going to be so fun.
So, Abe,
stopped-
before you go on, can
Sure.
you kind of give some background as to like how you and CJ decided to start earlier than your original plan?
Yeah, what made you want to start earlier?
Or how'd you know that you were ready to start?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's a great question. How did you know?
There's not, I don't think that's a thing. At least it wasn't for us. I wasn't like, okay, now, like, I just wanted to wait. CJ would have had kids right away. Like, he wanted to start right away. He was 29, I was 26. And I was like, I'm just not there yet. I still, I wanted my freedom still, I guess.
Yeah, I was going to say, I remember you telling me, and this has really stuck with me for years. And I feel like it's kind of, we'll get into it, but the reason why Caleb and I decided we wanted to start trying when we did is because you said that me and CJ knew we wanted to start trying when we were no longer selfish anymore. We were willing to give up like things that were important to us in order to have start a family and kind of move into that part of your life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, on a deep level, that's essentially what it was. I don't even barely remember, that long ago. So thanks for reminding me.
That was a hot minute ago.
Woo! But I was finally to the point where I was like, okay, no, I'm ready. And here's the thing that I guess was obviously naive about me. At that point, I had only had one friend and our brother who had children, and both of them did not struggle with fertility. Like they wanted to get pregnant, they got pregnant like that night. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, which
Yeah.
more power to them. Like nothing, like obviously that's best case scenario.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought once I said I was ready and went off
It would
birth control,
happen.
like I'm gonna get pregnant that month. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's where my mindset was, which can happen too. That's why you really do have to feel like you're ready because you don't. I mean, it could happen that same month that you start. But obviously it did not happen like that for me. We started trying April 2021. I ended up not getting pregnant in April, not getting pregnant in May. And then I started using like ovulation strips, which for those of you who don't know, it's like It monitors your luteinizing hormone, which basically surges right before you ovulate. So it's supposed to be an indicator of ovulation. However, it doesn't guarantee ovulation. Um, it just gives you an idea, basically, like that your hormones did spike at least.
And so when you said that you were the first one kind of out of your friend group who had fertility challenges, so how did you hear about the LH strips?
Google.
Okay.
I'm an absolute. I'm a doctor per
She's a
Google.
rabbit holer,
Yeah.
actually.
Yep. And I was like,
Rabbit holes every topic and then diagnoses herself.
yes.
That's
And
Avery's doctorate degree.
it's yeah. Thank you, Stick. And absolutely, I'm also a hypochondriac level 100, so it's no problem. I
Hey, the first step is acceptance, and I'm glad we're all here today.
This is true. This is true. So I started using those strips or whatever, and it's basically like a pregnancy test type of deal where you just have to dip it in your urine. And I got an app on my phone with that, so it would tell me like when I was like at peak fertility, right? So we were then we kind of started like this is where it gets a little like I'm gonna maybe tell you guys some stuff you don't want to know, but you start I mean
No.
seriously, like you start planning your sex life around this kind of because it becomes almost a job. You're like,
Yeah.
we have this one thing we want to get this done. These are the days, no matter how we're feeling, those days we have to do the baby dance, if you will.
The baby dance. I like that.
That's what that's what they say on like like on like the mom forums. So so um we're starting to like schedule our sex life around my ovulation. And at first it was okay. I mean, like in June, but I didn't get pregnant then. And then July came around and I thought I didn't get pregnant. Because I actually missed my period that month and I took a pregnancy test. Well, I guess I took a pregnancy test in August for the month of July. Like I
Mm.
thought I didn't get pregnant in July. Um, and it was negative and I started bleeding like the next day. So I was like, "Oh, okay, that's my period, right?" I just
Mhm.
was like, "Okay." Well, like 2 days into my cycle or what I thought was my cycle, I started having really bad weird back cramping and just kind of like I would have like a heavier flow and then I would have nothing at all for a couple hours. It was very bizarre. And I was extremely tired and fatigued, which I get like that around my period anyway. So that wasn't a huge indicator. But by like day 3 of just a really weird abnormal cycle for me, I decided I was just going to take a pregnancy test. I felt like my body just didn't feel right.
Mhm.
And so I took that pregnancy test. I came back positive. So then I'm freaking out, right? Because I've been bleeding on and off for 3 days. Um, I called my OB, or I guess it was my gynecologist at the time. I didn't have an OB yet. And she called in blood work for me to do HCG testing. So to see how pregnant I was, if my levels were rising or falling. Was I pregnant or was I having a miscarriage? Like I was pregnant for sure, but we just didn't know which way it was going to go. So,
And
um,
how much do they want to see those rise to like ensure that you have a viable pregnancy?
Is it like rising every day or
it should double or
double?
triple every other day.
Oh
So
wow.
like I went in and then I went in 2 days later and they want to see that double the triple.
That's
Doubling is
crazy.
normal. Some people's does more than that, right? So so I went in 2 days later and got my blood drawn and they called me back with the results. I could see it in my chart before they even called me, but my levels were dropping. So then they could confirm that it was a miscarriage and I had to um I was about 6 weeks along, so it was a really early. Some people call it a missed or chemical pregnancy.
Mm.
If you, I don't know if you guys have heard that terminology,
I've
but
heard chemical pregnancy or yeah.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
where you basically find out you're pregnant and then you start miscarrying. That's
Mhm.
exactly basically
Yeah.
what happened. So they had to keep testing my blood until my HCG levels were back down to 0, and then they told us that we could start trying to conceive again after my levels hit 0. But I personally wasn't in the mental space to just get
Get
back
right
on the
back on
horse
the
and keep
train.
trying. Yeah, no. So that took us like to September 2021, and a couple of our good friends were getting married in October, and I was like, you know what? Let's just stop. I don't want to be pregnant for that anyway. I was struggling with some, which I think we're gonna do an episode on this later, but some like hormonal acne from coming off birth control, I'm pretty sure, and having that pregnancy. Like after I miscarried, like my face went crazy. So I wanted to try some different like topical stuff that I couldn't do if I was pregnant or
Mhm.
trying to conceive. So we stopped. Um and I think that was really important for our relationship and for my mental health because it just becomes so stressful. It can become so stressful on a relationship.
Yeah,
Mhm.
draining you both.
And CJ was on board with whatever I wanted to do. He was very supportive the whole time.
And
Good
now
man.
at this time, did a lot of people know that you guys were trying to conceive or had a chemical pregnancy?
Yes and no. I mean, my inner circle, my family, you guys, my close friends, you know. Um, but no, not a ton of people. My coworkers, obviously, because I was upset at work. And my coworker, actually, at the time, she ended up, and she felt so bad. She's like the nicest person in the world. Finding out she was pregnant, like the next month
Mm.
after I had my miscarriage. And so she, you know, that was hard to, and we can go into all that, but it's hard to be like sad for yourself and happy for others. Like it can coexist, but it was really triggering. Not, it was out of her control. I mean, it's not her fault. Like she
Right.
obviously, and she had struggles with fertility too. So she knew what was going on, but it was hard to be around her every day and like, no, you know, she's changing, her body's changing, she's pregnant.
Right.
Um, but once we decided to start trying again, that was in end of January, beginning February. No, it was February. It was February of 2022. And we ended up getting pregnant with Collins that first time. And I don't know if it was just me taking a break to mentally heal or my
Probably
body
you took a
something.
break to take care of your body
Yeah.
and your mental state, so that probably made a huge difference in your body being able to essentially do what you wanted it to do,
Yes.
which was
And I feel like
conceive.
I should preface this with
Preface.
preface.
English.
Lord have
Jesus.
mercy. Preface this with that I did have a surgery for endometriosis in 2017. So like I knew that that was a thing. But it was pretty mild. I mean, they didn't think it was going to interfere with fertility since I had that surgery and I had those lesions burnt off. But I also, and sometimes I think this might have been an issue as far as like my nutrition and trying to conceive because I was keto for my wedding, like hardcore keto. Like I was only having like 20 to 25 grams um of carbs a day.
That's
So,
insane. That's like less than my breakfast.
right.
Yeah.
Not great. Not good. But so I feel like that really did have something to do. Like my body was so confused. And I
You're
had just
almost
gone
like
back to eating.
depleted. Like your
Yes.
nutrients were depleted.
Yeah. Essentially. And I do think that no, really. I think that played a factor in it. And by the time we started trying it again, I'd been done with keto long enough for my body to like replenish itself.
Yeah, and you were eating normal again.
Yes. Yeah, really. I
Right.
think it plays a big role. You can't starve yourself,
100%.
folks.
Yeah. Turns out you gotta eat.
Especially if you're a woman and you do. You have to for hormones purposes. But that was with Collins. So, and
And
then
she, I think she just wanted to be at my wedding.
oh, Collins? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why she was waiting. Yeah.
She's like, I better get in there right now. So by the
Right.
time Stick's wedding comes about, I'm like old enough in the womb to remember it.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
That's
That's
it.
exactly what happened. Yeah.
We cracked the code.
Thank God. Um for my that when we decided to have our second child, we wanted to wait until Collins was about 18 months to start trying. So we started trying like January 2024. I was it January? Gosh, my brain is so bad. Yes. I ended up getting pregnant in March of 2024. Um
It was,
and
wasn't it April? It was April because
Well,
we were in.
no, I got pregnant in March, but like that's when, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
When everything went,
Oh, yeah, because we went to Florida in early April.
Yeah, it was like the first week of April.
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, and I don't know if other people are like this. Well, I've talked to some people. Some people say no, but I know when I'm pregnant. Like, technically, I've had 4 pregnancies. Like, so I know when I'm pregnant. Like, I have very specific symptoms, like this strange like back twingy, not pain, but it's like it's hard to explain. But I knew I was pregnant, and I took a pregnancy test at the end of March. Um, right for Easter, and it was negative. And I was like, okay, I guess whatever. I guess that's negative. It's not happening. I started bleeding that same day, so I was like, okay, I had my period. Well, I bled like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Oh, and then we went out for a girls' night one night, and we were at Cork and Tap, and I just started crying out of nowhere for
I literally was
no.
like, "You're pregnant."
Yeah,
And for
I was like,
those who don't know, Avery's stone cold, so that's
Yeah,
weird.
her heart is
that's what
charcoal.
Morgan said. Morgan's
Yeah.
like, I knew something when you were crying. I was like, yeah, I don't.
Something was out of balance.
Yeah.
Or
I
in
was
balance. Well, we don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And you guys are like, are you okay? Why are you crying? And I was like, I don't know. I just am crying.
And another
And
reason, there was nothing behind it.
no,
Yeah.
Like that, yeah.
No, I just felt very like my hormones were out of whack.
Yeah.
But I was on my period, so I thought. So then by Sunday night, I wasn't bleeding at all anymore, and I knew something was wrong. So I took a well, I started doing like my LH strips, like my ovulation strips on Monday night, and it came back super positive. Well, I was only like 12 days post ovulation, or yeah, 12 days into my cycle. And I was like, I ovulate late, like day 20, 21. This is not right. So, but I've read on forums before, per Google, that if you get a positive LH strip, that can actually mean you're pregnant. Like if it's not during a normal time, you would expect it.
Oh,
And
really?
So, yeah. So I went out and got a pregnancy test, and sure enough, it came back positive, like pretty dark. I was like, what the heck? Oh, we went to Florida in between there too. And
Yeah.
I was still bleeding there. Like I started bleeding
Mhm.
again for like 7 days. So I guess I took this test when I got back from Florida that Monday.
Oh, yeah.
Like we came back on a Sunday. I took the test on a Monday.
Mm-hmm.
But I was having weird pains in the um airport stick. Do you remember?
I do.
And
So
I
we
just
went and got
thought,
those hot dogs.
yeah. And I
Or
thought
like a
maybe
hot
I was
dog
just
stick.
having like
Makes
yeah,
sense. That's what I would pick.
gastrointestinal upset. I was like, oh,
Did Google tell you that too?
Yeah.
Oh,
no. I was like, you know when you travel and you just
can't poop.
poop? Yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm constipated. That's what it felt like. That's the pain, but a little more intense. But by the time we landed in Rockford, I was fine. So I was like, okay, it's fine. I went to the doctor, got my blood drawn. And they were basically like, well, it's pretty normal. A lot of women have bleeding in early pregnancy. Yeah, whatever, yada yada. But I was like, no, I just I was freaked out about it. By this time, I was down a rabbit hole and I was googling ectopic pregnancies.
Yeah, I
And
think
That's
you
where
were
the rabbit
texting me.
hole paid
Yep.
off.
yeah,
You were
this is where the
texting me
rabbit.
like every day,
Yep.
multiple
And I
times
was
a
like,
day.
but I was saying, I was like, I think it's ectopic. And at this point, I wasn't having really consistent pain. So the doctor was like, well, you would know if it's ectopic. Like, you're going to be in a lot of pain. And I'm like, okay, is that just when my fallopian tube ruptures? Or, like, what's the context here?
Like when shit hits the fan, you'll feel
yeah.
pain.
Can we
Like,
check, please? Yeah. Um, But I went about my day. I had my blood drawn on a Tuesday. It was like 466, my HCG. No, 266. And then I had it drawn on Thursday again, and here's the thing. It doubled. It more than doubled.
Yeah,
My
but wasn't your
HCG.
progesterone low?
Yes. Thank you. Yes.
You're welcome.
But usually some offices don't even draw progesterone.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, they just do a HCG to see if it's rising. Because they literally, they pretty much were like, well, your HCG is doubling, so you're
so like we're
fine.
not gonna look any further into it.
No, but
Yeah.
my progesterone. Okay, so
Was barely changing. It was like really low.
yeah, in your first trimester, it's supposed to be like I think like 11 to 44.
Yeah, I thought you were at like not even a 1
Point
or something.
32.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Point
Yeah.
remember that.
32. And then when I got it drawn 2 days later, it was 0.61. And I was like, that's someone that's like not pregnant is what
Mhm.
that is. So I was like, I talked to the nurse or whoever was on call, not my doctor, on that Thursday, and I was like, I'm just concerned. My progesterone's super low. Like I had to take a progesterone supplement with Collins. And if that's the case, like, shouldn't I start progesterone now? And she's like, well, no, your HCG is fine. We're going to get you in for an ultrasound in a week or two. We'll see what's going on. So, okay, what am I supposed to do? I wasn't having any pain still. She asked me multiple times and I said no. But Friday I went into work and around 10 a.m. When I tell you this pain came on out of nowhere on my left side, specific and one-sided pain, I was like crumpled over in pain. Like I was in I had to go to the um like the
Break room.
yep, like the break room and sit on a chair, and my coworker was like, "Do you want me to drive you to the hospital?" And I'm like, "I don't know." I called my OB office right away and they said, "Come in right now," like immediately. So, I got over there, and by the time I got over there, my whole left side, all the way from literally my toes to my neck, like my shoulder pain. And by the way, folks, shoulder pain is a huge sign of an ectopic pregnancy. My shoulder pain was crazy. It was just the most bizarre kind of pain.
Yeah, that is so weird.
Yeah.
Just where
So,
nerve endings are, I guess.
well, they said that it's a sign of a little internal bleeding.
That is weird because when I had my gallbladder issues, I had shoulder pain.
Yep. Yeah, you probably had some internal bleeding in there.
It's
Like
all
it was
linked bleeding.
minute, the bleeding I had, and it was that much to trigger that.
Mm-hmm.
But they were like, okay, we're going to take you back for an emergency ultrasound. I got the ultrasound. I could tell, like I said, I'm Dr. Google. I was watching the ultrasound. I've had ultrasounds, many, because Collins was a high risk pregnancy. And so I had a lot. And I was watching it and I seen it. I seen it in my fallopian tube. Like she was over by my ovary. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, that's not, and she had to do an internal ultrasound. Also the most painful thing
Worst thing in the
ever.
world.
Well, while you're having an ectopic pregnancy, for
Yeah.
sure,
They're
it's uncomfortable
terrible in
anyway.
general.
Yeah, but I was like, she's like, "Are you okay?" I was like profusely sweating, um, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." But she was in and out of there fast because really, you're not supposed to mess around. She could have ruptured it. I mean, not
Right.
wouldn't have been her fault. So then I got sent to the room, like to wait for the doctor to come in, and this never happens. She came in within like minutes, 2 minutes. She came right in, and
Would
I
have
was
been
like, "Oh,
seconds.
yeah." And I knew. I mean, I already had the feeling, and she's like, "Yeah, it's ectopic." So I had to have, well, she broke down like what was at risk. Like my fallopian tube could rupture, leading to a need for emergency surgery, remove the fallopian tube, all that. She said I could try a methotrexate injection, which is a form of chemotherapy to basically it breaks down the cells of the embryo and allows it to move through the fallopian tube.
It's
So
wild.
terminate the pregnancy essentially, which this was a non-viable pregnancy. There was obviously no chance of survival. It's in the fallopian tube.
Right.
Once it gets to like, I was about 6.5 weeks. There was no heartbeat that they could detect on the ultrasound. So they said that was good. Usually, like the earlier you catch it, but most people don't catch it till you're about 8 weeks, and then it's
But
like
isn't
the
that
size of a
the
blueberry.
fucked up part? Like, if you wouldn't have pushed for it, would they have caught it?
I don't know,
Because
right?
they just kept saying, "Oh, your levels are
Your
rising."
HCG, and that's what they were so focused on. And
Or like imagine if this was your first pregnancy and you didn't have all this experience and you weren't as in tune with your body and the doctors are telling you that this is normal, it's normal pains with pregnancy or bleeding's normal with pregnancy, your levels are normal, we'll just schedule the ultrasound, like you're just going to believe that,
Right.
not
You're
saying
oh
it's
believing
always
yeah,
it.
inaccurate. Yeah.
oh yeah, and I would have thought that too if it wasn't. Yeah, that's true. Someone who maybe wasn't as, I don't know. hypochondriac as me.
Dr.
Might not have
Google.
caught it. Yeah. But I ended up doing the methotrexate injection, and she said if that doesn't work, I'll have to have surgery, and she'll try to terminate the pregnancy without removing my fallopian tube, but she wasn't sure she'd be able to at that point. So I said, okay. I said, well, I want to try the methotrexate first. And I did. And I had to have my blood drawn the next day. And then I got my blood drawn 2 days later. And my numbers were dropping. But the scary thing with ectopic is what can happen is they can start to drop and ramp back up. Like somehow the cells start regenerating again. And
Oh my God.
yeah, so you have to literally get your blood drawn until it says 0.
So you have no more blood in your body?
That's what it
Exactly.
felt like. I was getting my blood drawn for like a whole month. That was in
Jeez.
April. But then the crazier part was she was like, well, once you have a period. Okay, well, the methotrexate ended up working for me. Thank God. It's not, honestly, she said that the OB that I have, has never had success with methotrexate for ectopic pregnancies. So I was the first one.
Wow. Did she put you in the books?
I hope.
She should have.
First of all, there's only a 2% chance of ectopic pregnancy. So that's great. That's fun.
Naturally, it happens to you.
Yeah. But after you
But
have.
But isn't it increased with endo?
Yes.
Doesn't endometriosis increase ectopic pregnancies?
Yeah, the risk of it. It does. And she said that that's probably where mine came from, was there was endometrial scarring in the fallopian tubes, and that's what did it.
I
But
did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
but she said that it could also be I mean, most ectopic pregnancies are idiopathic. Like they happen for no reason.
That's wild.
Yep. So she said that's probably my case because of my history, but we don't know that for sure.
Right.
Right.
But after you have one, I'm at a 10% risk for any more pregnancies. Instead of like McCall and Stick, you guys are at like a 2% risk. But once you have one, you're at 10%. So
That's crazy.
yeah.
Does your chances in like say since I have endometriosis, would it be a higher chance?
No, they don't
No?
automatically. They don't automatically give you a higher risk. It's just one of the risk factors, but like I said, most of them are just for no reason at all.
That's not so.
Yeah. So she said that would be a risk. I'll always have to have super early ultrasounds to make sure the pregnancy's in the right place. So then she said as soon as the HCG's to 0, you can start trying again, like after you have like a period. And I was like Googling naturally. And I was reading things that were saying like, oh, you have to wait 3 months after a methotrexate injection because it's a form of chemotherapy to start trying to conceive again. But she said, no, that's outdated information, that it's just one injection. It's not like I went through chemotherapy.
Right.
And by the time I have a period, it'll be out of my system. So I said, okay. I had a period in May. And then I got a positive pregnancy test in June again.
Doing that baby dance.
Yeah, but I was scared. I was like, oh gosh, like I didn't expect to get pregnant that fast.
Right.
You know, and I had a lot of cramping with this pregnancy. I had no cramping with Collins, nothing. We went to Montana in June, and I was like, I just found out I was pregnant like the week before. And I was up like in the night with like night sweats and severe cramping. So I was like, okay, it's ectopic.
Oh my
That's
God.
what I was thinking. And I hadn't had an ultrasound yet because I literally found out like 2 days before we left. We left on a Saturday. I found out I was pregnant on a Thursday. So I was freaking out. But my tests kept getting darker. It wasn't the same. I didn't have any shoulder pain. It wasn't the same consistent kind of pain as it was with my ectopic. So that put my mind at ease a little bit. But yeah, being a woman's traumatizing.
It's actually trash.
Yeah. Don't recommend.
Yeah.
No, it's a lot, and I think people don't. I mean, people are definitely more open about it now, like fertility,
sure.
and miscarriages, and things like that. And I don't feel any kind of like shame around it or anything. If anything, I would rather
No.
have people know and educate themselves. Like this is,
Yes, there
that's
is a lot of people that aren't educated on any of it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
they
And
don't
But
talk about it.
even me, I was like, I'm gonna get pregnant right away, and it's gonna be no problem, and nothing bad will happen to me.
You
So
should
I
have known
mean,
better.
yeah,
We
really,
have the worst luck.
I know, really.
yeah,
I
speaking
was
to the
like,
choir, baby.
Yeah.
yeah, but
The
I
queen's a
mean,
bad juju.
yeah,
Yeah.
for real. And so on everything, this pregnancy, I had my anatomy scan and everything looks good. So that was a big relief because I was still paranoid about the whole methotrexate thing naturally
Yeah.
because we
Mhm.
technically conceived 1 month after that injection, and I was like, oh God, but no, it's fine. My doctor was correct. So
Quite the journey there, Ave.
Yeah,
yeah.
jeepers. And now Randall's on the way. Rodney and
Stop.
Randall.
Oh my God. No,
And
I
now
don't know what I'm having, but that's a inside joke. And no, I'm not having twins. It's just one.
You never know.
Yeah.
One could
So
pop up on the next ultrasound.
no, shut up. I'm like 22 weeks pregnant. They'd have to be really hiding in there.
Well, maybe Randall's a little bit bigger than Rodney.
yeah.
He's hiding behind him.
Stop. Oh. So, since you ladies don't have any pregnancies yet or children, what's been the experience? Have we tried? Are we hesitant to try because of fertility? Are we thinking like what have we been told about fertility like in your guys' cases?
Well, first of all, thank you for sharing your story, Ave. That was
Course.
quite brave. And
Of course. Oh, thank you.
honestly, people will be happy that you shared all that because
Yeah.
I feel like some people don't have people to talk to or relate to about it.
Yeah.
So they just kind of bottle it up. But
Sure.
you're
Yeah,
sharing it with all of our fans. So
I
Oh,
definitely think it's one of those
Mm-hmm.
topics that's like taboo, a lot like similar along the lines of like sex and just like
Yeah.
being sexual. I think
Yeah.
it's just pregnant, like fertility journey kind of gets lumped in with that.
Yeah.
Like
people
it's
Yeah.
don't
kind
talk
of like
about
what
it.
you're saying. People are almost embarrassed to talk about like the challenges that they're having, and it is a little uncomfortable to talk about because then people know you're having sex quite often.
Well, then there's the other spectrum that
Sex
people
is
are like,
sexy.
are you guys trying? And I'm
Mhm.
like, so you're asking if my husband's
Blowing his
dropping the
load
junk in
inside of
me?
me.
Like, what? And it's like people like that I'm not close with that ask said question.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
It's a loaded question for sure.
Literally
Mhm.
loaded.
Hey.
I hope Jackie doesn't listen to this.
My mom does listen to this.
Whatever. She's had kids.
True.
But yeah.
I think too, I mean, like, I'm not well, we already talked about this, like a huge social media person. So I feel like, no, I didn't share on social media, but that's just not my platform of like where I would share. But if someone asked
Yeah, if someone asked
me,
you to talk about
I
it.
would openly share it with them. Yeah.
Well, now
Mhm.
the podcast is your platform, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
definitely.
So
Yeah.
reach
Our
out,
therapy
call me.
sessions.
I did reach out to one friend from high school when I was experiencing my ectopic, and I'm not gonna say her name, but shout out to her because that was the only other person I knew for sure that had experienced an ectopic pregnancy, and she was very. It was really nice to be able to talk to someone that I knew had been through the same thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And hers was like such a young age.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for sure, it's traumatizing. So being able to, and her experience was much harder than, I mean, like for what she had to go through to get it resolved was way more invasive than mine, and so it was nice to just have her as like a calming voice in my corner. So
Like
shout out to
reassurance.
her.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah. So Stick, you wanna give a little input on your thoughts on fertility?
Yeah. So I guess I'll go back to the very beginning where it all started.
Bum bum.
It was senior year. I got super sick. Had my gallbladder removed. Thought that was the end all. I'm back. all's well. Turns out it wasn't. But I've always had like super terrible periods that were like 15 days long that I was changing every like 45 minutes. It was horrible.
My gosh.
But I didn't know any different. I thought that was normal. Like I didn't know anything about periods at 14, 15 years old. So I was like, whatever, I guess I'll be miserable for half the month every month. And then after I had my gallbladder out, I had a cyst burst on my ovaries, which led down the rabbit hole of figuring out I had endometriosis, I guess, because my issues weren't resolved even after that was resolved. So then I had exploratory surgery probably it was during basketball season. So it was
2012.
probably like 2-3 months after I had my gallbladder out.
Mm-hmm.
Um and I found out I had endometriosis, which they said stage 4, I guess, which is the worst stage.
The worst, yeah.
Yeah. And I have it not just on like my reproductive organs, I have it like on my stomach and all like pretty much everywhere. Like they couldn't even burn any of it off. It was so
Oh,
bad. Um so I had that exploratory surgery and I was 16 at the time, mind you. Um and my doctor suggested that I have a full hysterectomy.
Oh my
And
god.
naturally at 16 years old I was like I've never thought about having kids. Like that was never like
no.
I was
Yeah.
never the type of person growing up that I was like, I want to get married. I want to have kids. Like, I want to do this. Like, that was
Yeah.
never a thought in my mind. I was like, when's the next basketball practice?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what,
Naturally.
it's just what wasn't what I was focused on at 16 years old.
No.
Yeah.
So naturally my mom vetoed that idea because I wasn't an adult. I couldn't make a decision. Like, my say wasn't valid to the doctors. Like, I was an adult. So
Right.
my mom made that decision. She obviously said no because I was 16.
Yeah.
Like how are you to know at that age that or how can you say for sure?
And I feel like with like having a hysterectomy that young, like you're still developing. Like there's so many hormones like
Right.
that, you know,
It's
like that would
important to try to keep your
Yeah,
reproductive
and
organs
two,
as
I
long
was
as you
like
can.
if I
right.
have it on all my other organs, like getting a hysterectomy would that even like sure I wouldn't get a period or anything, but like I'd still have GI issues. Like I'd still have
Mm,
other issues surrounding it too, even if I had a full hysterectomy. So I
right.
was
Right.
like, that kind of seems pointless. That I didn't say that at 16 because I was just like, la di da.
Whatever.
I get to get out of basketball practice because I'm in the
Yeah.
hospital. um,
Hmm.
so yeah, obviously I said no to that, and then I went on to figuring out, I guess, treatments to kind of subside all of my symptoms because I would have like debilitating back pain, like my periods were so bad, I'd get really bad flare ups where like my stomach would bloat to the point
Ugh.
like I couldn't even like stand up, and I was in so much
Yeah.
pain.
My
Mm.
gosh.
So was on a birth control for a little bit continuously that allowed me not to get a period. But I was still having a lot of breakthrough bleeding with it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when we came to the resolution to take the Lupron shot.
Yeah.
And now, Stick, before you go into the Lupron shot, can you kind of talk a little bit about why they had you on that continuous birth control?
Yes. So with endometriosis, essentially getting your period, obviously it sheds the lining of your uterus. But with endometriosis, that shedding of your uterus essentially doesn't like come out of your body. It
It leaves scarring.
yes, it attaches itself to other organs and
Yeah.
builds scar tissue.
Yeah.
So basically for 15 days out of the month, I was just building that scar tissue every time I got my period and it got worse and worse. And yeah, so then I got onto the Lupron shot, which was an injection every 3 months in my booty cheek. And it was a thick ass shot. Like I
Ugh.
felt every ounce of it burning going into my body. Like it
Ugh.
was like they were just like injecting gel.
Yeah.
It was disgusting. Which
How long
turned
did you
out
do that for?
about a year.
Oh wow.
Which I don't know why I was on it for a year because it was shit from the start. Like I had every symptom associated or every
Side effect.
side effect associated with Lupron. My mood swings. Avery can attest to all of this.
And you were also a hormonal teenager, so
Yeah, I was a hormonal teenager on top of that, and then you add Lupron. Like I
yeah.
was raging every single day. Like my dad was scared of me. My dad's the sweetest man on the earth. He was like, I
Aw.
would never go back to that day, those days. Um, um, my hair was falling out. Like
Yeah.
it was fucking
Wow.
terrible, and I was not in control of a single emotion while I was on that shot. It was fucked up. Um, and so on that shot, I didn't get a period once. Like it essentially shuts down your entire system. Like so, I basically went through menopause.
So you were just on the Lupron shot, then you were on the continuous birth
No,
control at the same time.
no,
Okay.
because the Lupron shuts down everything.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's
So
intense.
it's very intense. Like I literally went through menopause.
Yeah.
Like I had the sweats, I had everything. I'm sure if you Googled every symptom of Lupron right now, I would check them off.
She had it.
I fucking had it.
Yeah.
So I was on that for a year. Obviously decided that wasn't it for me. Um, which Lupron actually also depletes the calcium in your bones too while you're taking it. So I
Oh
was on
my
a calcium
God.
supplement the entire time. So then I got off that, kind of played around with a couple birth controls to see what worked for me. And ever since then I've been on Laren is the name of the birth control, which I guess this was 11, 12 years ago now. I've been on that one since, and it has worked for me. But like as of lately, I've had like a lot of breakthrough bleeding.
Like maybe your body's adjusting to it and now it's not as effective.
Yeah, it's like, bitch, we've been on this how
Yeah.
long?
Yeah. And
Um,
I had to be on continuous birth control too after my surgery, and I had
mhm,
breakthrough bleeding. They had to mess
yeah,
with mine too. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, so I got to that. I'm still on that. Um, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. But I mean, Dylan and I have been married. We've been married 2 years now. It is, we do want kids or a kid. Honestly, I'd be down for one.
Yeah.
I'd be
No,
down for
that's
just
fair.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think it'll just happen when it happens for us, and we'll go from there. So we'll see where it takes
Has
us.
Yeah.
so have any doctors recommended, like, I know you were saying at one point they were recommending you have kids like right now, and we were
Yeah,
like
like
20.
young.
Yeah.
But we're 30, so
Well,
here we are.
have they given you like any updates like on everything? Like are things the same? Are things worse? Are things
Things are about the same,
okay.
and they did tell me they'd give me about 6 months of trying before we'd start intervening, not the
Okay.
full year
Yeah,
like
that's good.
usual.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I do need to get a new doctor actually.
Yeah, I've been telling you that.
Yeah,
Why did your doctor leave?
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh
My
yeah.
beloved doctor. He was the one that was with me from the very start
Yeah.
and
Wow.
listened to all my issues. So when he left, I was like devastated.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
hard.
Um, but yeah. So I need to find a new doctor. I still have a doctor right now, obviously, because I have checkups. But you know, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what I
Yeah.
do.
Yep. That's fair.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's
It is. And
intense.
honestly, there's really never been anything in me that's like, this is going to sound fucked up, but that I want to be a mother.
Oh, maybe you don't.
Yeah.
I know that I do.
Or are you doing it just because society? Because I feel like society makes
Mm,
people think they have to be fulfilled by having children. I have a child, love my child, having another child, but I disagree with like that ideology. You don't have to have kids to be fulfilled if that's
right.
not
And Dylan and I do feel absolutely fulfilled in our life.
right.
I do think I just maybe want one.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fair.
And if I have one and I'm like, I was so fucking wrong, this is the greatest thing ever, I'll have another one maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just the thought of like,
I'm just gonna stop you there and say how much you love your dogs. Yeah. You're gonna want if you have one, I bet you'll want more. But maybe
I
not.
know.
Maybe not. Some people I know people that literally just want one and literally like their husbands have had hysterectomies because they're not having more.
You mean their
Yeah.
husbands have had
Not
their
hysterectomies,
yeah
vasectomies. Woo!
Oh, yeah, yeah. I
vasectomies.
didn't even catch that. I was like,
Late
yeah, yeah.
in 757.
Oh my
Maiden.
God.
Uh,
I think too, there's a part of me that is like almost scared to go through the process
Sure.
that's how I was gonna
and
ask.
let my body be natural with all, because it's been 12 years since I've 12, 13 years since I've just
Eh,
let my body be my body. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And have
So
normal
you're
periods.
scared for like the pain that might come with that.
Yes.
Fair. Are you
But
scared too, a little
For like the
hesitant that
mental journey.
yeah, like if it doesn't work out for you guys, like because obviously you know all this about your health and like the likelihood of you naturally conceiving
I
is
think I think that if it doesn't work out with that for us, like I'll be fine.
okay.
Like if
So
it
like you're
doesn't
not gonna
happen,
look into like adoption or as of right now.
as of right now, no.
Yeah.
If we go through it and we aren't able to have our own children, I would totally be down to adopt a kid.
Yeah.
But
I would love
that's
to adopt.
also
It's just so expensive and
it's,
so
yeah, I would say that's
they
also the
make it
financial
way
burden.
crazy.
I'm like, if we go through fertility treatments and
Right?
we spend thousands on that, uh,
Mhm.
we won't be able to
Like what's
afford
gonna
to
be
adopt.
left? What's
Right.
gonna be left? Yeah.
Right. I'll have to start selling feet pics or something.
True. So you are open to fertility treatments though, the idea of
Yeah,
that.
I don't think at the age that I'm at, I don't think I'd spend years on it.
Okay. Fair.
Um, just because of the strain in the of your body and mentally and physically and
Yeah.
your relationship.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't think I'm someone that is so diehard that has to have a kid that I would go through rounds and rounds of treatment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that kind of sounds messed up, but
No, it
No, but
doesn't.
I think it sounds like you know what you want. And I think that's
yeah,
a good thing going into it because
Thank
then you
God you
know
do.
what
Uh-huh.
to
right.
expect.
Yeah. Stuff like we did, if we did treatments and it didn't work out, honestly, I would just be like, wasn't meant for us.
Yeah.
And I'd
That's a good
probably go
attitude to
rescue a
have.
couple more dogs. So,
Yeah, that's fair. See, and I think like I wonder if things work out like the way like I feel like after I was trying for 5 months and hadn't gotten pregnant, I was like
mhm.
go quite literally going crazy. Like I was
Yeah.
like, maybe
Mm-hmm.
I need IVF, and Cedar's like, well, calm down. Like,
Yeah. And I mean, there is, I've read plenty of stories of people who have endometriosis as bad as me
yeah,
and they got pregnant.
yeah, oh yeah, it
So,
happens. Other things too, like where they're like never supposed to be able to physically have children, and they do.
right.
But
So
it's
you don't
like
know till you try.
yeah. I
Bottom
have
line.
personally always wanted to be I feel like I've wanted kids since I was about like I knew I wanted kids since I was in high school. Did I want them in high school? No. But I
No.
knew someday I wanted
See,
to have a family.
I've never even like had that thought. Like the only time I started thinking about kids is when I got engaged.
Yeah, that's fair
And
too.
I was like, "Oh, I'm getting married. Like the next thing to do is have kids."
Yeah.
And that's what we told people before we got married. We're like, "Yeah, we'll probably try not long after our wedding."
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
And then our wedding came and I was like, "Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am not
Yeah.
ready to have a fucking baby."
Yeah. I've
And
always wanted kids, but I think the scariest part is you're never ready to hear like kind of what you guys have both touched on, but you're never ready. You never think something's going to happen to you that's going to hinder you from having that.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So we'll see.
Yeah. But Stick, I'm glad your mindset is a good I'm glad that your mindset's so good because not a lot of people would be able to handle that
No.
as well as you do.
I think I just have a lot of clarity on it and acceptance. It is what it
Yeah.
is. Mhm.
And you've had a long time, I guess. Really, it's not like you guys started trying and you just found this out or something.
Right. I've known
You've
it since I was 16, so it's just
yeah
something I've always
had to deal with.
right.
Yeah, which sucks ass too. Not cool.
It is. It does. But hey,
Yeah, but we're
we're on a
here.
we're on a
We're,
better track now that we're not sucking down alcohol and caffeine every
yes, you've done your body a great service,
Yes.
ma'am. Yes, yes.
Oh, goodness.
All right. Well, how about you, mole rat?
Mole rat.
I had to add it
Ooh,
on
yeah.
there.
The mole.
Impossible.
Uh,
The naked mole.
The naked mole rat.
Yeah.
um, for me, I'm really early into my trying journey, I guess. Obviously, I've seen Avery's my sister, for those of you who missed some of our episodes. So I've been really close to her and her journey. And I have a few friends that have some babies, some little ones. And similar to Avery's experience, they've had no challenges. And then I have some other friends who it's taken years and multiple miscarriages and multiple challenges going through, IVF or in vitro or PCOS. And for me, similar to what Avery was saying, is we've been trying now for 6 months? About, yeah, 6 months about. And so far we haven't had any luck. We've been doing the LH strips, and then actually it hits a little home for me today because I, just talking with Avery and Stick, we all have endo, and when they were younger, they had the surgery done where I didn't. I opted out to have that, and recently, and
You're not for sure that you have endo, right? Have you been diagnosed with endo?
not through that surgery, no, just like with my symptoms.
Your symptoms look like they're pointing that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they always kind of have, but I think that's why, like, I've really struggled with this because I've kind of always known that, and I've just kind of pushed it away just because I'm so afraid of the doctor that
McCall is
I
the opposite of me, folks.
Yeah, they're
I
very
am like
opposites.
I'm knocking down the doctor's door. I'm like, let me in. I gotta tell you something. And
McCall's like, my leg's chopped off. Let me Google see if how I can
Why?
stop the bleeding.
She's
I
like,
can do
I'm
my
not
own
for sure. I want to go talk to a doctor.
I can do my own tourniquet, like when
Yeah.
we went kayaking and my toenail popped out, I'll just pull it out on my own.
Oh,
Like I
oh,
don't need to go
oh,
to the doctor.
oh. Gosh, don't
Can't with
remind me of
Uh
that.
you.
But
yeah,
yes,
and
we are sisters, but we're very opposite in that sense.
I've never really I don't like taking medication. I don't like going to the doctor, and the main reason for me is because it's not really the testing at the hospital that gets done that I'm afraid of. That's not it. I'm afraid of the outcome, and
Yeah.
I'm afraid of finding things out. And I know Avery's going to say knowledge is power. She's told me this for years.
Be your own
And I
best
think,
advocate. Advocate for yourself.
yeah, for sure. And I'm hitting that point in my life now, obviously, because there are some things that could be hindering me from getting pregnant. And I've always wanted to have a baby, and it is a very mentally straining, it takes a toll on your mental state for sure. And I'm definitely at that point. Um, I'm going to start crying.
That's
Molly,
okay.
it's okay.
Yeah.
It's
But
emotional. It's very, very emotional, and it's mentally draining, and it's hard on a relationship. I mean, Caleb's a good guy, and CJ's a good guy, and so is Dylan. So it's like at least we have good partners to support us through it. But as a
Mhm.
woman, when you are so ready and you feel like your body's failing you, it's hard.
Yeah, like your body's not doing what it's meant to do, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
And even though they do, I just want to throw out there too, it is completely normal statistically and study wise for a healthy female and male to take up to 12 months trying to conceive before a pregnancy. And I would like to also throw out this that if everything goes perfectly right, you still like perfect sperm, perfect egg, perfect fertility for both of you reproductive wise, there's still only a 33% chance each month that that egg's actually gonna like become like implant
Yeah,
and
and you're
become a
like
baby.
your window to actually get pregnant is like 4 seconds.
Legit,
Yeah.
it's like 2 days. It's like 5 days a month, and
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
if that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, definitely like it's a mental game for sure, and I think kind of like what you guys have touched on is it does cause, it puts strain on your relationships, on whether that be with your partner, your spouse, or your work friends, or
mm.
your friends, that's what I mean. Um
And
and
it's
it's
so
a scary
triggering.
journey. It is. It's
Yeah,
very triggering, and it's kind of like what we touched on before is like you have people around you that maybe have had challenges, and they get pregnant, or you have friends that don't have challenges getting pregnant, and once they do get pregnant, I mean, it's just human nature. You want to be happy for them, and you are, but it is very triggering.
Yeah. Yes. And I feel like that's not talked about enough too. It doesn't make you a jerk because you're triggered by someone else's pregnancy or the lack of their fertility issues. Like you're still happy for them. You're happy they're able to have that family, and you're happy it all worked out in their like in their time frame that they wanted it to happen. But
Right.
it's still like you're still sad for yourself. Like it's that extra like gut punch. I
Yeah, it's
feel.
like when you want something so bad
Yeah.
and you're not getting it, but you're seeing other people get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I feel like
Yeah.
that'd be triggering for like the simplest things, let alone a baby.
That. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, definitely. And that's kind of where I'm at. So like this last month, we kind of decided like, I'm not going to be taking my LH strips. We're not going to be like forcing things to take place when um we're just going to let it ride and let it flow and see where it goes. And then I have surgery scheduled on November 15th, and hopefully we get um some resolution there. And even my doctor, he prefaced it with saying, there's a 50-50 shot that we're going to see something when we're in there. But if we do, obviously, if we're able to, we'll burn it off and just go from there. He did tell me that after this, he would consider me to move forward in the fertility journey. So I won't have to wait longer. He said, obviously, after this, see if I get pregnant the next round or my next ovulation. And if I don't, then we'd move forward and do like the dye flushing to see if there's anything blocking my fallopian tubes, as well as get Caleb tested for some stuff. So we're definitely taking the right steps. I think it's just a mental game, and trying not to be in your head is just really hard.
It's hard to wait for answers too when you don't
Yeah.
know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or like the worst, like not worst case scenario. I certainly shouldn't say that, but I have some friends. Well, they're your guys' friends too, but that they did testing and they couldn't find anything, and they were trying for
Yeah.
almost 2 years, and they're like, we don't know. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
which is worse. I think that would drive me to my edge. I'd be like, what do you know? What
And
do you
to
mean?
get no answers and it's
Yeah.
still not
They're like,
working.
no, you guys are
Yeah.
perfectly fine. And you're like,
Yeah.
but how? Because it hasn't been working,
Right.
Yeah.
you know?
And I think that's where it kind of goes back to like what we were talking about even before, Ave, like with you and your journey, and just kind of talking about like your mental state and your diet and your routine play such a big role in
Oh,
every
yeah.
aspect of life. And I feel like it really comes into play when you're, going down your fertility journey. And that's why, sometimes it irritates people to hear it, but people say, it happens when you like least expect it or when you're not trying. But when you're in the game and you're in the fertility journey, it's so hard to shut it off.
I hated when people said that to me.
Ugh, it just,
Yeah.
Because I want it to happen now, bitch. Don't try to
yeah.
comfort me with that. Well, God has a plan. Shut
Yeah.
up.
Shut the fuck up.
Well, why is his
Nicely,
plan
but
so hard? Why do I need so many jumps and hoops?
Right?
You
Who put
know?
all these roadblocks up?
They see me. I'm
probably
not a
God.
Olympic athlete.
Yeah. Or I had a couple people say to me, and honestly, I don't think people mean any ill will by it. So I had to just tell myself that. No one was saying anything maliciously, but I had some people be like, after my miscarriage, well, at least you know you can get pregnant. Oh, okay, thanks.
Bitch.
Yeah,
But I
that's
think at the same
true. I
time,
mean, I
what those
get it.
people don't understand is you've been trying for so long to reach this finish line, and you finally reached it, and it goes away before you even get the gold medal. You don't even make it to home plate. You know what I mean? You hit the home
Didn't
run, you're
even make it
almost
to
there.
first.
Yeah.
I mean, yes. Like I got my first positive pregnancy test just to literally have it be a miscarriage. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was super, super frustrating. And I think that's why my mental health was already taking a toll from trying for 5 months, 5 or 6 months, whatever it was. And then
Yeah.
for it to be like, oh, okay, it finally happened. And then within like the same day, be like, no, it didn't.
Well, and I think it's also like that's why, like what we talked about before, like asking people, are you guys thinking about trying soon? Are you trying is such a loaded question, because you
Yeah.
just truly don't know what somebody's going through. And that could be the one thing that just like triggers them for multiple reasons, right? Whether it's, you have been trying, or like what we've talked about before, maybe you don't want kids and you shouldn't have to explain yourself to anybody for like, but it's just human nature. People are just trying to be nice. They don't mean any ill will, but just don't ask those questions.
It is
I
really
used to
fucking
just
annoying.
say, if people asked me that, I would just say, we're working on it. It's just like, I'm going to make you feel uncomfortable then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
You're
gonna
gonna
start
ask me
saying
that.
some outlandish shit when people ask me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like when people ask you like,
Or you
hey,
could just
how
say, we don't know if we want kids.
That would shut someone up real fast.
Yeah.
Say we
Shut
don't
up.
Yeah.
want kids.
Yep.
I
You
Yeah.
don't.
could just say that, even though you might want 1 or 2 kids. You could just say, we don't want kids. And then,
I don't shut them up.
yep. And
I
that's
don't
really
mind.
probably what I should have said.
Yeah, I don't mind when people ask, "Do you want kids?"
Yeah.
Because
That's
Yeah.
that's a
different.
completely different avenue of asking. It's
Yeah.
not,
Mm-hmm.
"Are you guys trying? Are you guys
Yeah.
trying right now? When are you gonna
That's
start
true.
trying?"
Yeah.
And it's like, shut the fuck up.
Or like I
Yeah.
used to get, and I was only like, I was 27 when we started trying to have a baby. I was 26. I was starting to get asked, like, oh, because when I didn't want to start trying right away, and this was by some family, and I was like, I don't want to have a baby right now. I'm not ready to have a baby. They're like, well,
Mhm.
your time's a ticking. Okay,
It's
really?
so fucking annoying. I can't stand that shit.
Mhm.
People asked
Yeah.
me on my wedding night when we were having a baby,
Yeah.
and I said, "Does
No
anyone
thanks.
got a shot?" Someone brought a shot. What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think
So here's your PSA, folks. Don't ask people if they're trying to have a baby. Just don't.
Mind your fucking business.
If they bring it up, okay. But yeah, you really just should.
Don't be the first one to tick off the conversation
Yep.
yeah.
with
Yeah.
that
If
question.
someone wants to share that with you, that's their decision. But
And
that's
Yeah, I
you're
was
very
not
gonna
that
say-
close
personal.
with them, then just say hi, how are you, and move the fuck on.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Don't say, how's life? You guys want babies?
Yeah.
I want you to shut up. That's what I want.
Yeah. I'm about to make you really fucking uncomfortable right
Yeah,
now.
fucking
So
say some
Yeah.
shit.
So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, but at the end, kind of going like with what Stick's saying, we've talked about it before, and if it's not in our path or in our journey to have one of our own, we're definitely open to adoption.
I'm also open to like Avery carrying it.
I've tried that Stick.
Damn
one
it.
second, one moment, please. No, thank you.
Oh.
I got a friend for you with a longer torso with easier pregnancies. Her name's Holly. Call her. I got her number. I know you do too.
She'd say, hell no.
No, I think ultimately though, if you're my best friend and you're my sister, I would truly consider it. I would truly consider
I don't think I would want you to.
What?
Not that like you wouldn't be a
Stick-
good
You
parent.
didn't trust me? Oh.
But
Stick just revoked it.
Yeah, I was like, wow.
I take it back. No, but I mean, like, I don't think I'd want to like put you through that, and then like you have a shit pregnancy, and then I'm just over here like, let me know when you're having contractions. Like,
Yeah, but it's a short time. Really, truly, 9 months is a. Yes, it is. I have not loved. I don't want to say hate. That's a strong word. I have disliked my pregnancies, but if my best friend or my sibling had no other choice and they really, really wanted it like that, I would deeply consider it. I can't say yes yet.
See, and
I
I
would.
think that would be my only option. Like,
No,
is
mom.
if
Mom.
oh my god, I'm not gonna have mom carry.
I've seen
my
it.
baby.
Google
Oh
it.
my
Someone's
God.
like 56-year-old mom carried her baby.
No, mom wouldn't be able to heal as fast, and she wouldn't be like.
Who
It
cares
just
about
wouldn't
her
work.
healing? She'll be fine.
Paula, we love you. Avery doesn't mean it.
No, I know. I know. And that's like Stick too. She's got no sisters, so.
But like at the same time too, I wouldn't want a fucking stranger doing it.
That's what I'm saying.
No.
That's why I was saying it'd be my only option because
Yeah.
I wouldn't want anybody else. I have trust issues. That's not
I do
happening.
too. I would be like, FaceTime me. What are you doing? Where you
Yeah.
at? What
No,
are you
they'd have to
doing?"
live in my house, and then I
Yeah.
would be like, crazy.
I
No
would
thanks.
make sure they ate everything right that I cooked.
Yeah.
Like they're,
You
you know
guys
what I
would be
mean?
mad at what I'd be eating.
I don't.
Yeah, we'd have to
Yeah.
take care of our
Baby is made
babies.
of sugar. Hey,
You'd be
Collins
living
is
at my
fine.
house.
Collins is fine.
I would cook for you for 9 months, Avery.
All right. That
I
would
knew
maybe
that
be a
would get you.
trade-off. You got to feed
Avery,
my whole family. Yeah.
Avery, I would have Caleb cook for you for 9 months.
Okay, you're also going to have to feed the whole family. It's not just for me.
That's fine. I cook for a fucking army every time I cook, so
Perfect.
we ain't going
McCall,
to
you're going to have to
Boone.
move back to town, is what I meant.
Yeah, back to town.
Back
to
to town. Okay.
So
We're getting
I
squirrely.
get.
Okay, let's
Yeah,
shut it down.
I was gonna say. So I would say key takeaways of this episode are, advocate for yourself. You're your own advocate. You know your body the best, and if you feel uncomfortable with a doctor and you feel that they aren't taking you seriously, find a new one.
Move on to the next
McCall's
one,
taking
baby.
my advice now.
Move on to
I'm
the
proud
next
of
one.
you. She's like trying to be me now.
Look
That's
at Avery
exactly what
trying
I've
to
been
take credit.
saying.
Get out of here.
Don't get anxious about the doctor. If the doctor is going to be an asshole, you find a new one. There's plenty of them.
Yeah.
And I think, like I said, another thing that I've learned, unfortunately later on in my life is, what Avery's told me earlier today is knowledge is power, and not to be afraid of the answers that doctors are going to give you. But just look at it as like, okay, how can I tackle this next hurdle to get to where I want to be, and not allow that thought or going down a rabbit hole to be so debilitating that you don't do anything about it.
And
Right.
whether you know you have a condition or you don't, you still have the condition.
Yeah.
Don't you want to know and be able to treat it and do what's best
Be
for that condition?
proactive about it.
Yes. Like if Stick didn't know she had endometriosis, she wouldn't know to be on this birth control, like doing the things that have made a world of a difference in her life.
Yes.
Yeah.
True.
you know. So she'd still be miserable.
Still kind of am. I'm just kidding.
Miserable mostly.
Miserable for other reasons
We are
now,
a lot
but
better when you're thriving.
uh,
Oh goodness.
All right. Real quick, I just want to say I love you, Baker Mayfield.
Oh,
And
God.
I'm
our
so
boy
sorry about the
Baker.
loss last night.
Not even just the loss, but the loss of his two receivers.
Both of them.
Godwin
Mike
and Evans.
Evans and Godwin.
Godwin's out for the season.
Yeah,
Evans
Godspeed to
has a
that ankle.
chance. Evans just has a hammy pull. They
Yeah,
said probably week 11 he could come back, but God, I felt so bad for Baker, obviously, and the wide receivers. But just
Yeah.
did you see the video of Baker? Oh,
He just looks devastated.
devastated.
It's just, and he's just finally coming into himself, I feel like.
Yeah,
He got on a good team that works with him and good receivers, and
He was playing good.
but
I'd also would like to point out
oh
the Bills win.
yeah,
34-10. And
also Dan the man's
oh
win.
my God, beat the Vikings.
Yeah, go Dan.
Sorry about you, Shane.
Yeah, we don't care about you in Westcott.
Yeah, bah. The Chiefs won again. Annoying. Patrick Mahomes threw like 19 picks.
But he can always pull it off. It doesn't matter. I've learned
annoying.
that.
But you know what's funny is no one's going to talk about all of his interceptions.
No, because he still pulls off wins though.
Josh Allen's had no interceptions this season. Just so you know.
Last season was rough.
He's the only quarterback.
Yeah.
But if you look at their stats, I know Patrick Mahomes pulls out the wins, but Josh Allen has better stats. So, which means fucking nothing in the end.
No, it sure doesn't.
We can't bring home that ring, baby.
Maybe Josh should leave the Bills.
I don't know. I think his heart is a Buffalo Bill.
I'm just saying, maybe the organization isn't. If he's this good, if his stats are this good, he needs something.
Well, we also have a lot of injuries too.
Yeah, he's got to go.
No.
To where he can have people to work with.
Where's that at?
The Chiefs.
Oh, they're gonna give up Patrick Mahomes and say Josh.
Maybe.
No, that'll never fucking happen.
I'd like to see him play with another team and just see. I'm just interested.
I don't know. Could be in his future. He's still young.
Yeah, lots of injuries though.
So many. There's been so many bad injuries, like gruesome injuries.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna need. What the fuck's the commissioner's name?
I don't know. don't know.
I picture his ugly ass face.
Yeah. I think the Bears will win this week.
They didn't lose last week.
Right. It was a bye week, babe.
I know,
But the
bitch.
Commanders.
They play the
They're playing the
Commanders.
Yes, but their quarterback's out. Hopefully
Oh
he
yeah,
doesn't
Jane
come
Daniels
back.
got hurt.
Yeah, I think they're just saying it's a cracked rib, so I bet they tape him. I
Yeah,
bet he plays, but if he doesn't, we'll win. If they do,
you never know.
oh yeah, either way, you never. I mean, the NFL. One thing I've learned, you literally just never know.
That's why I hate. That's why I can't stand projections on fantasy football leagues because who the fuck knows what that player is going to do that day?
Yeah, well, even like the pick'ems, you can pick who's expected to win, but usually when I do that, at least like 4 of the teams that are projected to win don't.
Yeah, you just don't
So,
know.
No, you don't.
But
They're
the Bears have the
humans, too.
Commanders this week. The Bills have the Seahawks.
They should be able to beat the Seahawks.
Let us pray, baby.
Yeah.
Let's pray. And then
The
we
Bears
have
are gonna get really. It's gonna get really ugly in the next like 3 weeks, though.
yeah.
We're gonna have like the. I think it's gonna be like the Vikings, Lions, Vikings, 49ers, and then
Yikes.
something in the like. I think it's gonna be like. We better pull it together and start really showing up because it's gonna get hard.
You know what I find really funny that happened?
What?
So Devontae Adams obviously played for the Raiders.
Yeah.
That last week he played for the Raiders, he played the Steelers. Lost.
Yes.
Gets traded to the Jets. Who do they play?
Played
The
the Steelers.
Steelers.
Lost. You could tell he looked sickened.
Yeah, he was just as miserable as he was in fucking the Raiders.
Yeah, he's a little bit of a princess as well. Him and Aaron Rodgers go good
Yeah.
together.
They probably are together.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying?
He was staying with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. There's something going on there.
Yeah.
The dynamic ain't flowing though.
I know. They
Don't
really
they?
didn't have that many like plays together.
No, they didn't. And Aaron Rodgers looked like Dookie. So
It's time for him to give it up.
yeah, I agree. I've never been an Aaron Rodgers fan, and honestly, seeing him get sacked brings me joy. But he should hang it up after this year.
He should. You know what sickens me is that the Packers still look good even without him. So
Yeah,
their organization's just good.
yeah. He's never gonna be the Tom Brady at the end of his season the way he was of his career. I mean,
At the end of his career, he thinks he's that, and he's
yeah.
not.
It will in that what's that show?
Hard Knocks.
Hard Knocks really hyped Aaron up.
I know, and look at him. He's really
Yeah.
floundering out there. Although his O line is not helping him.
No,
I mean, it's
but-
not really his fault that he's getting so fucked up.
But I like it. So
no, so do I. It's
get
funny
fucked.
to me, comical. But McCall's like, I'm gonna cut all this out. Okay, all right. Well, let's go. Let's go Bears.
Go Bills. And I would just like to point out one more thing.
Oh, okay, good.
Holly may have stomped me in my one league, but my bench scored more points than my players in. But I beat Dylan in the other league, so I just like to point that out. Mr. Fantasy Football himself took it
I
home.
beat Mr. Fantasy Football this week as well in the ESPN league. So he has 2 losses this week from you.
I
and
love that we took him down.
And I won in my Yahoo league. I beat my brother-in-law. So
You went
nothing
2-0?
sweeter. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I went 1-1, but I'll take it. I'll let Holly have a dub.
I'm moving on up. I'm 3rd in our league now, Stick. So watch out,
Yeah, I'm like 6th.
loser.
But CJ's dead last. And Dylan's right
Well-
above him.
All the boys are at the bottom.
Yeah, they're trash. They don't know shit about
Leave them down
football.
there. They suck. Eric Bauer got beat so bad.
Yeah, he did. 30 points. That's like, that might make a record of the least amount of points scored. in
Shane
fantasy.
said that's like the lowest he's ever seen it.
Yeah.
That's so
Love it.
funny.
Love it.
But
Shout out.
shout out to Eric Bauer. You suck. Yeah. All right. Well,
Anyway, we'll wrap this episode up. Stay tuned for next week. Episode 8 coming at ya.
what's the topic for that one? Give them a little preview.
Mo, what is the topic?
We'll tell you the topic next week.
Yeah, it turns out we'll find out next week too.
That look on her face, it said she doesn't know.
Yeah. We have a spreadsheet of it figured out, but we don't have
My-
spreadsheet in front of us.
My head's not in it tonight, gals.
No.
That's fair. That's
So
fair.
make sure you tune in 6 a.m. Thursday mornings. We drop on Spotify and YouTube. Give her a listen.
Yeah, feel free to give it a listen, and if you guys enjoyed this one, feel free to hit us with
Yeah,
a
give
follow.
us a shout out. Let us know
Yeah.
how we're doing.
And if you have any questions and you don't feel comfortable talking to anybody about fertility stuff, definitely feel free to reach out to any of us through our cell phones if you have it.
Yeah, we'll put our phones on a link at the bottom of the podcast. And our
Only
address.
sticks.
Yeah.
Our podcast email as well as our podcast Instagram.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
See
give
you
us
next
a follow. Give us a like. Trying to be famous. Love you.
See you in the next one.
week. Peace,
Okay,
baby.
bye.